Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Inside Emerging Markets live training series, hosted today by the Capital Region Minority Supplier Development Council. We are extremely pleased that you all are here. Thank you for registering and joining this continued series around AI as business infrastructure. I wanted to welcome each of you on behalf of our president and CEO, Sharon Roberson Pender, to our fourth installment of AI as business infrastructure. My name is Sonia Bigelow Smith, and I serve as the Vice President of Strategic Growth and Innovation for the Capital Region Minority Supplier Development Council and the Director of our Capital Readiness Program. We are so excited that you are here and pleased if you've been able to continue the journey with us through this emerging market series. So before we get started today, I'd like to share a few key opportunities to further your learning and to stay connected with us. First, our AI and CMMC webinar series continues next week and into next month. So if you're not registered, make sure that you register for those sessions that are coming up. Then in September, we will be at the beautiful Country Club at Woodmore hosting our annual business golf outing. This is a day to get out of your office and on the course so that you can make some new connections. And then lastly, but most importantly, we are also planning our annual Day on the Hill, designed to offer voice to the public policy challenges that minority-owned and small businesses continue to face. So please scan the QR code on the screen to learn more. And please know that this is also where you can learn more about our programming and resources through the Capital Readiness Program. We offer a vast array of entrepreneurial training, specializing in accounting, marketing, operations, and financial management for business leaders like you. Now let's get to it. Next, I'd like to introduce our esteemed facilitator and trainer today. Agnes Kabarajay is the founder and CEO of experTribe and an MBE certified small business based in Baltimore. She comes with a wealth of knowledge and information to share with you. She brings over 20 years of technology consulting experience, including time at KPMG and Accenture. And she now leads her own organization, experTribe, as a business that develops enterprise-grade consulting and solutions for mission-driven organizations. She is an AI practitioner, and that's why we have her connected with us to deliver this great programming. She uses AI to run her business, to build AI applications, and to deliver solutions for her clients. And so we are so very, very happy to have her again. And I'd like to welcome you. I see you out there, Agnes, to get started with the presentation today. Thank you so much for being here again.
Thank you so much, Sonia. I'm very excited to be here. I am just going to go ahead and share my screen. So today's topic is AI that thinks with you. As usual, it's going to be a free-flowing conversation. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat and one of the team will let me know. I'll also be pausing periodically to make sure that you are keeping up and respond to your questions. So far in this journey, we started off at in session 2 where we briefed a new hire. Session 1 was our orientation. Session 2 is where I introduced the brief framework, and AI, your new hire, joined your team. Then you gave them a desk, you gave them projects so they stopped forgetting you. The last thing we talked about was teaching them your voice. This is the first session that is about thinking, not doing. The sessions we did before made AI better at doing the work. In this session, we're going to show you how AI can make you better at thinking and actually help you work on your business and not just in your business. Okay. I also want to pause to reflect on the moment we're in as small businesses. For the past 30 years or so, the big company had access to capital. It still does. It had the process, the expertise, and was slow to move. We had speed, judgment, proximity to the customer, and no or limited access to expertise. What I'm going to show you now is that that has flipped. We still have speed, we still have judgment, we still have proximity to the customer, and now we have expertise. So the gap is closing. The thing that makes a small business different from a larger organization is the procurement cycles, the legal review, the AI governance committee, the need to do a pilot program, all of which are valid, slow things down. Whereas as a small business owner, you can convene an advisor in 4 minutes and act on the advice by lunch. So you're able to be more flexible and more nimble. We should always remember, though, that AI amplifies what you do. It doesn't originate what you do. So it doesn't come up with ideas without your input. And just like with every system, garbage in, garbage out. And in this case, it would be well structured, confident, articulate, and you might believe it. So you need to be very, very careful. You should challenge the advisor, especially because if they give you agreeable advice, because what you don't want to end up in is your own echo chamber where you get validated and your biases get distilled, right? So make sure that you're also challenging. The quality of the advice you get is really based on two things that you control: what you give it and how hard you push back. And the thing to be aware of is, as you're getting this advice, is what you walk into the room with. And we're going to see that in the example that I'm going to do. You walk into the room with a set of biases and a set of ideas. And as you talk to AI as a thought partner, remember that you have that frame coming in the room. And as you're getting the information, also remember to challenge your own thinking. Okay, so today we're going to do three things. We're going to set up a board of advisors in AI. I'm going to talk through 6 roles, but in this session, we're only going to use 3 of those. Then we're going to talk about how to think with AI. So have an interaction where you're challenging AI, you're learning from AI, and it's challenging you back. So it goes from being a text generator or a content creator into a thought partner. The handout that we're going to give you today is going to contain the 6 briefs for the advisors, plus some tips on how to push back on the advice that you get. Okay, so first, I'm going to take you through your board of advisors. These are the 6 that I usually like to have. Someone to talk to me about my numbers. Think about this as your CFO. A devil's advocate, and I actually go to this one last. You can also incorporate it in everything that you do, but basically to make sure that you are not in that echo chamber, someone to challenge you and to play the devil's advocate and pressure test your idea. The market analyst, what you have now at your fingertips is a tool that can go out into the internet, digest information that you give it, digest information about your organization, and give you a competitive landscape, help you analyze RFPs and see whether to bid, what to bid on, what other people are charging. You can also have a business coach, and this is someone that helps you on the softer side, really focusing on you and some of the challenges you have as a small business owner. You have someone that helps you to turn a decision into a plan and then stay on top of executing it. And then you can even create one that you feed your client personas into, and have it scan the market to see what your clients are saying so that you make sure that your product that you're developing or delivering is always relevant to the customers that you're serving. Please let me know if there's any questions. And Sonia, please feel free to jump in if you want to, if you have questions or thoughts.
Thank you, Agnes.
The one seat that's different in that whole group of advisors is the coach. And this one is purely about you. As I was saying, the hard conversations you keep postponing, the hire you're afraid to make, the client relationship that's maybe a bit difficult. And for most owners in the room, myself included, the loneliest part of being in business on your own is not having that person to bounce ideas off. So you're able to set up a coach. I will say though, you also still need real people, right? The danger with all of these tools is getting so wrapped up in AI that you don't speak to anyone else and you spend a lot of time in your head. So use this to augment your relationships that you already have. It's still important to have relationships, but it's also fantastic to have a tool and an advisor that's purely about you, that's available at all times of the day, that helps you think through those problems that you might not be able to always find someone to do that with you. Okay, so throughout this series, we've talked about a brief, and a brief is a proxy for a prompt. A brief gets you comfortable with talking to AI and demystifies the prompt. And for a business owner, it means, you know, just like you would brief a new consultant joining your team or a new person, a new employee, AI needs to understand your background. It needs to understand the role that you want it to play for you. You need to give it specific instructions. You need to set expectations and then invite follow-up, right? And so last time, or a couple of times ago, we also talked about a project versus a chat. And what the project enables you to do is to fix certain information so that you can just jump straight into a chat and start talking because everything else has been explained. So in this case, your background, the role, the expectations, and the follow-up all get put in the project. And as you'll see, we'll create one project for each of our advisors. And so that way, whenever you have a question for your numbers advisor or something that you want to think through, or the devil's advocate or the market analyst, all you need to do in a chat is come in there with your instructions. Okay, so as I was saying before, one project per advisor, and then one chat per decision or thought. Okay, this way, your advisor never runs out of context. They always know who they are. You don't have to spend the time rebriefing every time. And the other beautiful thing is if all of your chats about numbers are in one place, then over time, that advisor has even more context about you, and how you make decisions and the things that have come before. Okay, so you now have a board of directors, and you want to hand your advisor certain things at one time, right? So your numbers, your positioning, who your clients are, what you're pricing, who you lose to, and then how busy you are, right? And you already know how to write a brief because we've done that in session 1 and 3. And in session 3, we also talked about using a project. So some of this information, as you'll see, can live in your project and be there all of the time. The thing you need to do is remember to update it. What you can also do is add some of this information into a Google Drive and point your project or your advisor at that Google Drive. And then all you need to do is keep that up to date. And you have an advisor that understands your business that you can talk to in real time. Okay. Before I show you the advisors, I just want to talk a bit about challenging AI, right? AI can agree with you all day long, and it's very articulate, well organized. It says a lot of stuff that makes sense. So I want to talk through a bit about how you should challenge it as you're having these conversations, and also how to think about what's coming back. Okay, so always challenge the conclusion, especially if you don't agree with it. Okay, don't just take what it says as the truth. Challenge it. That's not what I asked you to do, or that's not how I usually buy things, and here is why. Help me understand your response. Or you're making these assumptions which are not true. This is how you should be thinking about my clients. Or, okay, now that you've told me this, give me the opposite argument to what you just said. Okay. And if you see something and it is seeming really good, or something that you want to implement, before you do that, ask it to walk you through how it came to that conclusion. Especially, as I said earlier, if you're going to rely on it, ask it to give you its sources and how it came to that, so that you are making sure that it's also providing a comprehensive answer. What I've found in some cases is when you do this, it will then correct itself and say, oh, I was looking in my memory and I hadn't actually gone out and searched again on the web. So sometimes it tries to be lazy. So you should always, always challenge it, especially if it's coming back with something that is too good to be true, right? So if it's a decision that you're going to rely on, make sure to do some pushing and prodding back and forth before you take that as the truth. Any questions so far? Okay. Um, so in previous sessions, we were really looking for an output. We wanted to write a LinkedIn post. We wanted to write an email. We wanted to find a contract and what that contract said, and incorporate that into another deliverable. So we wanted to get to an answer quickly. Okay. And if you didn't get the right answer, you rewrote the prompt to get that answer. In this case, the back and forth is the product. The back and forth is what sharpens the AI and you. And so it's not overhead. So actually having a conversation, a longer conversation within reason, is better in this case than in the previous sessions that we did. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to Jasmine. Jasmine is our fictitious small business owner who runs an HR company, and she's using AI to run her business. And as you'll see in a minute, we've set up a situation where an RFP just landed. It's a 400-person employer, and it's the biggest thing she's ever seen. But it's also with a client that she already has a relationship with. Okay. And what they're asking for is something that she does. She's trying to decide if she should bid. Transparently, she's sort of already decided. She's just looking for some validation. Okay. So again, the RFP, it would be $50,000 and double her account. This is how she could grow. It would make her, able to bring someone else on. And she knows the HR director, so she has a relationship. So she feels really good about being able to win. And she's also, obviously, as an entrepreneur, really keen to get that additional revenue to grow her business. All of it is sounding really good to her right now. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go look at our market analyst advisor, right? And what she's going to feed into that, as we'll see, is her positioning, her three main competitors, and the RFP, her ideal client and the RFP. And really what she's trying to understand is, should I bid on this? Who else is likely to be bidding on this? And what do they care about? This is what she thought going in. Okay. So now I'm in Claude. You could do something similar in whichever AI tool you use. So ChatGPT has a similar layout, and I believe Gemini does as well. We've stayed in Claude through this series because I'm continuing to build Jasmine's profile. And you can see the last time we spoke, we were talking, we were setting up our business assistant to help us streamline emails, etc. So now let me take you into the market analyst, and let me show you the brief. So we have our background. It's talking about Jasmine's organization. The role of the person in this project is the market analyst. They research the outside world and bring back what is true. And in here we've said not encouraging. Okay. She's a solo entrepreneur, so help her to see where she actually wins, and also most importantly where she doesn't. Okay. The expectations, don't sugarcoat anything. Okay. Uh, really think about the facts and do less inferring and more and explain if that's what's happening. Okay. Tell if you're making a claim about a competitor or a buyer, let me know what it's based on. Okay. And some more instructions that you can see here. So basically she's being really clear that she doesn't want to make stuff up, and go out there and look at what's actually true. Okay. And then inviting follow-up. Okay, so in here we have everything but the specific instructions for the project. I also included some documents, the handbook positioning document, and this is what I sell, where I win, where I lose, etc. This is a static document, but remember to update it periodically, or as I said, if you come in files, you can upload from a device. I think it's on the Max plan. You can actually point your files to Google Drive. Okay. She's also put in here, it's a spreadsheet of all of her competitors, and then her history, specifically at the Meridian account. This should have probably most likely gone into the chat because it's specific to this decision. Similarly with the RFP, but I just wanted to have them out so that you can see them. Okay, so these are all of her documents that are going to give the market analyst context. And then let me show you the conversation that we had. Okay, I'll start at the top. Okay, an RFP just came in and I'm really excited about it. We already have a good relationship there. I know the HR director. If I applied, I have a good chance of getting it, and it would be the biggest project we've done so far. It could really grow my business. Help me think through this. And the other thing to say is I was talking on the microphone. So you don't have to type. You can also talk. So if you see some typos and some ums in the chat, that's what was happening. So help me think through this. What do I need to do to position myself to win this? Okay. And now you can see the advice. I'm not going to read all of it, but I'm just going to paraphrase. So first thing it says is the shape of the RFP is a trap. Okay. You've grown with them, right? That you have a retainer, and now you want to add more work on top. Okay. And the work that you're doing with them right now is a third of your revenue and your best reference point. So you need to protect that. Okay. The RFP is asking for, you have 2 sites right now. The RFP is asking for 4 sites, on-site delivery at each location, training 35 managers, and then doing all of this for a fixed fee. Okay. In the positioning document, where you lose is anything that needs a team on multiple sites. Okay. Then it also goes into looking at the money. And especially it's gone and looked at the competition and seen what they bid for, and they have teams. Okay. So it's a different category of business. So it's trying to say, think about this a bit more. Okay. You're already there as an advisor. So you're already doing work there. Can you expand to do this as well? Anyway, so it's gone in and it's looked at the documents and it's already having some hesitation. And then it came back to her with some questions. Okay. Jasmine is still very excited about this deal because she's thinking about the money. Okay. Um, Currently, she makes 45,000 from that client a year. This would enable her to make an additional 45,000, probably more, and expand to the other sites, which means she could expand the work that she does at this client. Okay. So she's pushed back. Okay. You can see how she's pushed back. She thinks it's being pessimistic, even though the RFP is formal. She knows the HR director. Um, she acknowledges, okay, as one person, I'm structurally weak, but let me understand why this multi-site thing is such a deal breaker because I'm already doing 2 sites. Okay, so now it's come back. It's done some analysis and come back. And it's basically saying, okay, so you do have a relationship with the leadership, the HR director, and that's obviously a competitive edge, but be careful, right? The fact that you're more likely to win is part of the risk, especially if you win it in the wrong way. And then it's gone into some numbers. The retainer, the work that she's already doing, and the scale that she would have to achieve, okay, and whether she'd be able to do it, okay. The volume is what puts you in the room, right? So her strength is being in the room, and now they're asking her to do 4 sites. And so it's gone through her reasoning, but it's sort of saying, but don't walk away, just don't do it as it's written, okay? Come back with a different proposal, and some scoping questions, so that you can reshape this to do the things that you're strong at and think about what you would do with the other stuff. She's now come back, okay, and acknowledged, okay, I can't deliver across 4 sites, but what if I was to bring someone else in? Okay, what if I was to bring someone else in to give me the scale and I could focus on the things that I know? Help me understand how to price this. And also, can you do a scan of the market and see what other people are doing, right? If I'm going to be a prime and I'm going to be bringing someone else on, do a scan and let me see what other people are doing. Okay, so the conversation continues, and now it's focusing on the competition and on the numbers. And it has now let her know that she is below market rate, and this is what other people are charging, right? And so, but then it's come back and said, but if you're partnering on delivery, there's a trap. Um, your margin, you have to think about your margin between, what you're charging the client and what you're bringing to them. So it's left her with that, but it's given her the information that she was looking at. And the number that's in her head is, wow, I can charge 53,000 for this. And this is how it would look against my competition. I'm going to pause here, see if there's any questions or any thoughts before I move to the next advisor. Okay, so we've left this chat with what Jasmine came in for, which is how do I stack up against my competition and how much can I charge for this? And is it worth me doing it? And she's got that answer. The chat was also bringing up some other stuff, but Jasmine's excited because it's 53,000. She could do a partnership and expand her scope. Okay. So then the next thing we're going to look at is the numbers advisor. Okay, this is the CFO. Same brief, but this time you're a CFO. and you've seen hundreds of small businesses. Just tell me if this is going to work for me. Okay. So in the CFO chat, what I did is I pasted the market data from the other chat, as well as the RFP. And the thing I took from that other chat is I've been undercharging. Oh, I see some questions. Are these questions? Let's see, hang on. Yes, I'll share the Claude Code configurations. Um, and the other question I had was, should I start with a market analyst? No, not necessarily. Whatever makes sense to you. And you might need different advisors as well, depending on your business. You know, you might be more of a technical business like me. So I have like a technology slash solution architect. But the one thing I would ask you to keep in your group of advisors is the devil's advocate. And hopefully by the end of this, you'll see why. Okay, so now she's gone to the numbers person with her market analysis, and she's asking them to, to look at the numbers for her. Okay. The the thing that the CFO is saying is you're already getting a lot of money from Meridian and it's going well. You made 45,000 in the last 12 months as a retainer plus projects, and it's your single largest engagement. It's 44% of your book. And what it's trying to say is you don't want to replace the steady 45K annual revenue recurring by going after this one thing that could kill that. Okay. Um, if it does work, right, then Meridian becomes 60% of your business through this single RFP. Okay. And now you're increasing your risk because everything is coming from this one client. Okay. And then it spotted a mistake that the market analyst made because the math was wrong, right? Okay. And then it's gone and it's reviewed the hours. And the other thing, if you look through this, it has also, I'm going to summarize, but it picked up that she's charging too little for her current client. Okay. So looking at how much she spends on discovery, if we scroll down, um, she's not charging what she should be charging, right? And so the partner and training piece is a trap. One, she's not charging what she should be charging, but two, the amount of effort that she's going to have to put into this is a trap. It's not going to earn as much as she thought. Okay. And this is a long-winded way of saying that. So for the recommendation, so it's given her a lot of information and it's starting to pull at some of the stuff that might not be in her favor, but it's still giving her the answer she asked for. Okay. And it's come back with a question, right? Are you trying to keep the 45,000 and do this as well, or is this going to replace it? Okay. What Jasmine is hearing is, oh, wow, this makes it bigger because I want to keep the 45K and then I want to do this on top, right? The constraint that the chat brought up was she's a solopreneur. There's not enough hours in the day. So she's taking that away and thinking, I can just bring someone else on, right? I can bring someone else on. That's not going to be a problem. And then I can make sure that I'm charging for every hour, including discovery, instead of giving it free as part of the retainer. So it's come back. You're conflating two decisions. The bid is one decision. Becoming a firm with payroll is a different one with different math, right? Don't base that off a single RFP, all right? Because there's a lot more that goes into that, okay? And it's given her some more numbers. Okay, and also has said, you know what, if you factor all of that in, you're actually not going to make you're only going to keep 38,000 of the 53,000, and this is a one-time thing. Okay. Also, it factored in putting the discovery into the invoice. Okay. And gave her a lot more numbers, right? Jasmine is determined though. She's determined. And she's like, what if I just brought on a 1099? So now I'll have a 1099. It won't be payroll. And I'll bring them on when the training happens and then take them away. Right? And yeah, just give me a clean cost schedule. Okay. It is still pushing back, right? 1099 removes the objection, right? But still, it doesn't create the money. It converts your hours to a cost that you can resell, right? So it's still pushing back, but it's giving her the answers that she's asking for. Okay. So it's gone back and it's created her budget that she asked for. Okay. Again, a lot of information came through in this chat, but what did Jasmine take away? Wow, it could be bigger. It was bigger because I was not charging discovery. I can charge discovery on this project. And okay, I don't have enough hours, but I'm going to get a 1099. I'm not going to get a full-time employee. I'm going to get a 1099. That will help me scale. I'll charge for all of my hours. This is good. I can still make more money. Okay, so it's not 53, but even at 38K or 45K, is still a substantial amount of money for my business. Okay, now let's go to the devil's advocate. Because with those two, Jasmine's leaving the conversations in her head thinking, I could still do this and it could still be good for my business. So for the devil's advocate, and in this case, what I did is I put all of the documentation in the chat to show you that there's a different way that you can do this. So the brief stays the same, but each decision, the documents for that decision live in the chat. Okay. And here she's, and again, you can see it says and it's because I put my microphone on and I just talked about it. Here she's saying, I've come to you, I've done all of my homework. I'm feeling very excited about this RFP. It could double my business. I'm going to bring 1099s on. She's basically talked herself into doing this. Okay. And it's basically said, I'm not going to say what you're hoping I'm going to say. Right. It's echoing some of what the other chat said. Meridian is already a third of your revenue. Your work is based on being the person they trust who knows their whole organization and being in the room. This is a different animal. This RFP is about scale. And then it's walking her through why this is a bad idea. Okay. You've got the relationship and the champion. Great. But then you're now the prime on a 12-month foresight person. You're not the advisor in the room. You're the accountable vendor on a contract. The work that you love is not your sweet spot at this scale, right? Now you're into, doing this across 4 sites. You're into a big, organizational change initiative. You're going to be spending your time surveying and synthesizing projects. You're going to be farther away from the decision maker, right? You're actually going to spend more hours because you're going to have to coordinate all these people and you're going to have to work around their schedule. 400 people are in a climate of change, right? And so now you're doing admin, insurance, contracts, all of this, right? Your sub does the training, but now you're a middle manager of that contractor, right? And your reputation is at stake. And this is only 12 months. Okay. So actually winning this is going to be bad for you. The structure, I bid as the spine and I sub the training. I stay in the room. What it's saying is you're not going to be in the room. And this is not your sweet spot. So long story short, it's broken down why this is not a good deal in 7 bullet points. And it's continued to emphasize that. And basically said, this is not a good thing for you. Okay. She's pushing back and she's saying, well, okay, I get all of that, but I have this relationship and it's a real concrete thing and it's an advantage. Another firm doesn't have the relationship that I do, and I'm already in the room. And it acknowledges that that's true, right? But the relationship does not address the risk, right? And the risk is that you lose this because you lose the relationship because you put so much effort into delivering this at scale, which isn't your sweet spot. So, and this was me in the wrong, this was me in the wrong chat. But basically, what I wanted to bring home to you is the other advisors were sort of saying the same thing, but she was able to hear what she wanted and keep going. The devil's advocate, I think after reading this, if I was Jasmine, this would stop me dead in my tracks. I'd be like, okay, you've made your point. And that was the basically the crux of the demo. Are there any other questions? Are there any questions? Okay. So we did the market analyst. Um, she didn't know the market, but what she left after that session is it showed her that she was basically charging too little. Um, but it also showed her where she would win and where she couldn't. So she came out of that rethinking, okay, I could reshape it and I could partner the delivery piece out. Okay. And then she went into the numbers, gave them, gave it her numbers, and then it pushed back on the scope and pulled out the discovery and why that would not work. Okay. So she learned something new in there. Um, maybe not the thing that she should have necessarily learned, but she learned that she was charging too little for discovery. And then she also went down the 1099 rabbit hole, right? But there still was meat on the bones for her after this discussion. Okay. Before we go to the devil's advocate, right? They were honest and they gave her good feedback, but she went in with an opinion that she was able to confirm because of how she asked the questions. And I think we do this a lot as entrepreneurs. You decide that you're going to do something, which is part of what we have to do. And then you look for people that are going to confirm what it is you're thinking. And she was able to do that in these two cases. Um, Partly because it was a lot of information, and I did the same thing. And she just pulled out the pieces that she, uh, you know, wanted to read or the pieces that confirmed what she was thinking. And also because she was so excited, she pulled out the pieces that made it look bigger and better for her business. And this is why you needed the devil's advocate. And as I showed you with the devil's advocate, um, she was basically told you will win it and then you will fail. The devil's advocate said the challenge isn't in winning it. The challenge is that if you win it, it is going to drain so much of your time and it's going to jeopardize the relationship of something that's already working in your business. So don't do it. Okay. And so back to my earlier thought, you definitely need all of the advisors bring something different and you definitely need all of them. You also need either a devil's advocate advisor or to be a devil's advocate in all of those chats. One of the things I also like to do, and I should have done that in this chat, is give me the TLDR version. And TLDR means too long didn't read, right? So you're giving me so much information. Give me like the summary, and you could start with that, and then digest the rest of the information. But the thing to say is, she essentially had a board meeting with three advisors on it, and they weren't disagreeing. The market analyst said, you can't deliver this at scale, so don't bid it as it's written. And she took that away to say, then I'm going to rewrite it. The numbers advisor said, this may cost you the 45K you already have because you don't have the scale to do this. And she reinterpreted that to mean, then I'll grow and I'll bring someone else on. The devil's advocate said, the bid spends the relationship that is the business. Basically, the devil's advocate stopped her short. And I would argue she needed all of these because she walked away understanding her market better, understanding her numbers better, and realizing that she can get more value out of the existing relationship by charging for discovery, which she wasn't doing, and also understanding how valuable that relationship was. I guess the crux of this and the bigger point I'm trying to make is you can see how AI, if you set it up in this way, challenges your thinking, teaches you as it's doing that, and essentially helps you grow your business and make decisions for your business. I'm going to check and see if there's any questions. Okay. Are there any questions? Any thoughts? Okay. And that's what I was just saying before. She walked in, she didn't really quite know the market. She was undercharging and she didn't know it. She was thinking about the number and thinking that this would be a way for her to grow her business. And she walked out knowing the market and her worth, knowing the value of the recurring annual 45K client, and that that's worth more than this one-off deal. Also, what the devil's advocate distilled for her is that her product is being in the room and building that relationship, and anything that takes her away from that is actually diluting her product. And actually, if she's wanting to grow this client, the better way to do that is to get paid for the work she's already doing. Okay. So the board didn't make her think smaller. It just made her more focused on what she needs to do to continue to grow her business. Okay. Final slide on the board, right? And what we've done so far, right? So the board helps you decide. The staff, in this case, it was our assistant, helps you execute. But the whole time you're actually doing the thinking. You're controlling the thinking. You just have people alongside you, AI alongside you to do that. Okay. Thing to take away is it's still you. You're still at the center of all of this. Your documents, how you think, how you challenge. So it's not going to replace you. It's going to enhance what you're doing. Okay, hang on. Let me see what time it is. So we've gone through that quite fast. Yes, there is still time to ask questions. If you want me to go back and cover something, please let me know. You're going to get a handout, and the things that you can do when you get this handout is set up your own advisor. It doesn't even have to be one of the 6 that I mentioned. It could be a hybrid, and then bring in a real thing that you're tussling with and argue with it. Okay. Especially look out for it telling you something that you didn't want to hear and that you didn't want to know, you maybe weren't aware of, because that's how it makes you better, by highlighting those blind spots that you might not be aware of, and getting you to dig into them and understand them. Okay. All right. One more chance for questions. Any questions? I'm trying to see. I can't see my chat. Okay, so the session that we're going to do on August 20th is about building your AI system. So in this series, we went from your AI orientation to AI that does the jobs you hate, to AI that talks to your customers. We just did AI that thinks with you. Next week, we're going to talk about how you put that all together so that it becomes more embedded in your business.
Hi, Agnes. We
Yep.
do have a question.
Okay.
So the document set to the board needs to be precise to what is needed for the best support.
I wouldn't say that. I would say each of your advisors plays a different role. So give them the information that they need to be able to advise you in the best way. It doesn't have to be precise. I mean, you might be able to give them like in the case of the market analyst, it was starting to veer into numbers a bit more than I would have liked, but that was fine. As long as you remember what it is you're trying to get out of that conversation, and being open to it maybe steering you in a different direction, you don't actually have to be precise. I could have given all of those chats the same information, but because of the role that they were playing, I would get different outputs out of all of them. Did that answer the question?
Let me see if they put anything else in the chat. Let's see. While we're waiting to see if they have it. Okay, perfect. It looked like that answers the question. And then I don't know if you got to the question about should you start with the market analysis?
I did. I think
Okay.
I touched on it briefly.
Okay,
Um,
great.
there is no correct place to start, and there is no ideal board. I think it all depends on your business and how you think, right? So when I'm thinking about responding to something, the first thing I want to know is who am I competing against? How much are they charging? And what is this customer potentially expecting? And so this is why I would go to the market analyst first. But it might be like in my case, I build solutions for myself and for clients. It might be, what is my infrastructure going to cost? How many hours am I going to have to put into this? Is it even worth trying to build this based on the resources that I have? So I think it's on a case by case basis. And as I also said, you can create a hybrid role. You could have created a hybrid numbers market analysis role, depending on how you work, though that might be challenging. So the whole thing I'm trying to bring home is make this your own, right? It's your own, it's your business. And so if you want to embed this in your business, build it in a way that you understand that's going to support your business. And the important thing is to get in the habit of knowing how to go back and forth with it and talk to it, right? So whether that's brief, whether you adapt your own tool, the thing to understand is you need to give it context, um, a role, expectations, instructions, obviously, but the most important thing is an opportunity to give you feedback and input. Were there any other questions?
There are no more questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So, bit about me before we leave. I run a company called experTribe, and I've actually developed a product with AI that uses AI to help people find funding and respond to grants. And in addition, I support you as well. So it's a service-enabled platform. So there's always a person available to work with you. And I also work with businesses to develop custom AI systems for them and help you figure out how to embed AI into your business. So there is my information if you ever want to reach out. And I also want to say a big thank you to the CRMSDC for this opportunity, for the Small Business Administration for funding this series, and for you for attending and taking the time to be on this call.
Thank you so much, Agnes. And if everyone could give her a warm round of applause for a great presentation. I can tell you, what I'm taking away from this is that this is layered learning, right? So there are some prior sessions that you've held. And I saw a lot of you asking the question about where can I get the prior recordings? Be sure to go to our website at crmsdc.org/media to grab any of those prior sessions. And there will be a handout that will accompany this webinar after we close this within 24 hours. I would just like to again say thank you, Agnes, for the detail and the commitment to small businesses to advance their opportunities by using AI tools, as you've shared. And if you want to continue to learn, just a few closeout items, the training series does continue on August 20th. The session will be Build Your AI System, Creating a Lasting AI Operating Guide. So be sure to register and plug into that. And then that will be coming up on August 20th. So that's about a month away. But next week, if you are doing any government contracting, and you need some additional insight as it relates to CMMC training, we have sessions that will continue through that series as well. So on July 23rd, we have a domain deep dive session. On August 26th, which will be our final one, will be in implementation strategies and common pitfalls and assessment readiness. And then I'll also just remind you that we have some upcoming events to connect with us in person. On September 14th, we'll be at the Country Club at Woodmore enjoying a day out with business networking. If you don't golf, don't worry about that. We have a golf clinic to help you teach you how to perform at your best on the golf course. That will be on Monday, September 14th. We are in the midst of planning for our Day on the Hill that is scheduled in Washington, D.C. in September. And then our annual business meeting will be held on December 3rd. So mark your calendars. Be sure to scan the QR code for any additional information. And we would just like to thank you on behalf of our President and CEO, Sharon Pender, who stays in the marketplace fighting for small and minority-owned businesses. And once again, to the CRMSDC team and to our media production company, Phoenix Lifestyle Management Group, for supporting this effort today. So thank you all again. Have a great afternoon. And we'll see you next week at the next series, next month for the next AI series, and next week if you need any coaching or learning on the CMMC. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.